Welcome to Making Disciples 101, a Grow video series on the basics of soul winning for you and your local church. Now, Mark, we want to address the question, what can a local church do to better minister to newly baptized church members?
Yes. Well, we've talked about the Great Commission of Christ and how that commission is not just to make members, but to make disciples.
That's right.
And there's an interesting passage in the Gospel of Luke chapter 6 and verse 40 where Jesus says, a disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is perfectly trained will be like his teacher. And so in the context of discipleship, he's talking about this training. So we're talking about a kind of a training that needs to take place in the church.
Okay, so we have systematic ways of getting people prepared for baptism.
Right.
We take them through a series of Bible studies, some baptismal preparation studies, etc. And oftentimes after we baptize them, then it's very kind of loose. So what we need in local churches is a systematic discipleship plan so that we have this discipleship training that you're talking about. But how can a church do that? Well, as we look at any ministry in the local church, first we need to make sure there's a leader in place, a discipleship ministry leader or a personal ministries leader who's responsible for this ministry. And we also need to make sure that there are experienced members who will serve as mentors for the newly baptized members, because every new member should have a mentor assigned to them.
Right, and in the context of this training, there needs to be some practical instruction on the basics of the Christian life and how to have a good devotional life, a reading plan, a reading devotional time and prayer time, or the importance rather of attendance in religious services, not just the worship service, but Sabbath schools and prayer meetings. The importance of sharing your faith and some practical tools to help a new member learn how to share their faith effectively and tactfully.
Absolutely. And when we talk about ongoing instruction, a lot of new members get tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. They've just learned and they believe what they have committed to, but it doesn't mean that their roots are deep.
It's hard to assimilate it all at once.
So they need to hear some things again, and they need to have ongoing instruction on areas like the devotional life. You mentioned that. Areas like personal witnessing, the church, and the different aspects of church life, and maybe even a little bit about how the church works.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of different areas. Christian lifestyle is a big one where new members often struggle. They've made decisions, but sometimes they need affirmation. So all those things are very important. Then they also need integrated into the life of the church.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about integrating them by not only giving them some of the history of the church and some of those things, but helping them to meet new people in the church, helping them to have experiences of ministry in the church, going over to people's homes, experiencing Vespers, family worship, all sorts of experiences that they have with the church family and individual families within that greater church family, so that they can begin becoming integrated into what a Seventh-day Adventist church family is all
Right, that's
about.
so essential, because I could sit down with somebody and I give them some materials and say, look over this. Well, that wouldn't be discipleship. But if I met with them on a regular basis, I know some people would think, well, that's discipleship. I'm meeting with them. But just meeting like this we're doing here is not discipleship, because there's got to be an element that's actually walking them through, modeling different things, connecting them in the church in different ways, like you said, ministry and socially and other things.
Amen. Amen. There's a statement in Christian Service, page 121, that I think is a good way to wrap up what we're talking about here, because it talks about the beauty of what happens when you incorporate the discipleship of new members after the rest of the cycle has been cared for. It says, one soul won to the truth will be instrumental in winning others. So the whole idea is you're making not just a member, but a disciple who's going to make other disciples. And then it says, and there will be an ever-increasing result of blessing and salvation.
Amen.
So we want to encourage you to have a systematic discipleship ministry for new members in your local church. And may the Lord bless your efforts and grow your church.